Gentleman from...
Oh, wait, that wasn't done, actually.
I'm sorry.
If we're doing a second round, does that mean I can have 5 minutes? Or?
Yes, but let me do the gentlewoman from Indiana first, and then
Okay.
I'll give the gentleman the second right. She came in after the gentleman from Indiana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I come from Indianapolis, Indiana, probably the state that has more gambling casinos than any other state in the United States. I have a question in terms of consistency. The race, the Kentucky Derby, held in Louisville, Kentucky. You could bet on it from anywhere in Indiana by computer. Go up and do that. Question, what's the difference between internet gambling and being able to gamble on the horses? Could one of you refined gentlemen answer that question for me, please? You're not going to answer?
Hi, I'm not sure there is a difference.
I'm not either. That's why I'm confused.
I think we all are.
Yeah. Madam Congresswoman, to me, following something the chairman said to me, last November in Ohio, we had a issue on the ballot which basically would allow slot machines in Ohio. The vast majority of Ohioans said no to that. And the vast majority of Ohioans also said yes to the election of Mr. Brown to the Senate, which gives your party helps them quite a bit to have a majority in the Senate.
How do you know what party I'm with?
You're on that side of the room.
That's because it was easier for me.
Okay. I'm sorry, madam. But coming down to this issue, I think the issue of this bill is that in Ohio we said no, but West Virginia said yes. And I have friends that drive down to West Virginia. I don't think we should put roadblocks over the West Virginia border saying you can't go play slot machines in West Virginia. But the issue is, with the internet gambling, the situation has been, we do not want to see bets put across state line. I know they made exceptions for horse racing, and we're not going to discuss the wisdom in that, but still, right now we're actually expanding that, so why should we have more of it? And the issue is, now it is illegal. It's been illegal since 1961, before Al Gore invented the internet, and we want to continue to keep that standing there. So that's what I'm saying is, I would love to see that every individual locality continue being consistent, the federal government being consistent, and allowing the locals to decide what they want to do. And we've all said internet gambling is illegal in all 50 states, or at least majority of them. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I have heard objection to this for family, pardon me, Mr. Chairman, for family reasons. Because they feel like they'll gamble off their money before they bring the paycheck home to their spouses. They do that now. I mean, it doesn't require internet gambling to make some irresponsible person not accommodate his or her responsibilities first for the family. But I'm still confused on how you can bet at a racetrack. You go up, they put your numbers in by computer, give you a receipt, and in this situation dealing with this legislation, you can do it over the internet, either by credit card or whatever kind of card you use. And I guess the bottom line, and I don't want to belabor the point, is why are we debating this? People gamble because they want to gamble. As long as it's consensual adults gambling, whether they're being responsible or not responsible. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could legislate responsibility among human beings of age? We can't do it. So, while I think I voted for restrictions the last time that it was up. I don't feel hypocritical either. I just think more time has passed, and you understand better what it is that you're trying to do. We've changed a lot of laws, reversed a lot, and I don't know what the chairman's going to do with this one, but if he wants to repeal what we did, I'm going to vote to repeal it, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm not the brightest star in the galaxy either, so I have to have something else. But I've enjoyed the testimony, believe it or not, I've read it, and I thank you very much.
I thank the gentleman for support, and I would caution the witnesses, if they haven't already figured this out, it is when the gentlewoman from Indiana is at her most self-deprecatory, that I would be very careful if I were you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Reverend, most of the folks that live in the northern part of the district where I am in Lake County go to Niagara Falls instead of West Virginia, but now they can't get passports, so there'll probably be more of them going down to West Virginia. And I want to associate myself with the remarks of the chairman on Mr. Abramoff. A lot of the stuff that goes on around here reminds me of gang reporting, the way they used to in the 20s and the 30s, and I really think it's disgusting. And as I said on the floor the other night, even though I didn't get a lot of converts to join me, I really think that we're engaged in a race to the bottom on some of these things. People who do bad things should be punished, and they have. But Mr. Prideaux, I want to focus on page 8 of your testimony and get to the compulsive gambler. I think we've talked about the technology, we've talked about the underage problem, but the compulsive person, and you talk about velocity controls, and maybe somebody else talked about velocity controls. I know, even though it pisses me off, sometimes I go to an ATM and it only lets me take out $200 of my own money and charges me $2.50 for the privilege of giving me my own money back. But they won't give me $300, they'll give me $200. And so it seems to me that maybe a way to deal with the compulsion problem, and I'm not aware of any constitutional right to be able to not only bet online, but bet a lot of money online. Can you describe for me what you mean about the velocity controls and how that's utilized in your experience relative to online gambling?
Yes, thank you, Congressman. In essence, if I could just interpret your question a little broadly and talk about velocity controls in general, clearly some can be applied by the payment scheme. I think, as you have said, particularly for credit cards, where gaming transactions are considered quasi-cash, the risk profile that issuers take is to not extend the whole of a credit line for quasi-cash style transactions. And certainly that's one mechanism, as far as the payment scheme that can operate, that can provide some safeguards to the problem of compulsive gambling. But at the same time that I mentioned in my testimony, there was a multi-layered approach from this. I think there are a number of other important aspects to talk about. The first one, of course, is that of the operator themselves acting in their self-interest. And the majority of reputable regulated sites will establish limits for new players to the extent that they can play. And indeed, they will also make available to players the ability for that individual to self-limit, as with a cooling off period. And of course, the regulator themselves, if they felt it was appropriate, could enforce some of these mechanisms. I think the point that I want to make is that we talked about how the internet was transforming businesses, and clearly it transforms the internet. And the old sort of access-based controls can certainly be substituted by these controls here to address compulsive gambling. None of the features that I've described have really been available in the face-to-face gaming environment. This is a good example of a place where the problem of compulsive gambling, which exists today, can be better controlled in a regulated environment for internet gambling as opposed to gambling in the face-to-face environment.
Okay, thank you. And then just my